See your reaction.
It's not out of line. It's completely fair and justified given his decision. And he knew he was going to get heat. And he's a big boy. He can take that heat. I think, as I said when we were talking earlier, but I think it bears repeating. I can't relate to this. I can't understand it. I can certainly give him some grace. And I can certainly agree that Christian Pulisic over the years has brought it for the national team. But in this moment, and in this moment of peril, if you will, in this moment where people are criticizing this team, in this moment where there is an apathy creeping in towards this team, in that moment, he chose not to come. Okay, that's a little bit strange for me. Can players get rest? Absolutely. But this was a time, I think, where he needed to be there, at the very least, side by side with this group of players, recognizing that this was happening, recognizing that they were losing control of the situation with a year to go to the World Cup. He will be fine. He can deal with the criticism. He's going to be fine. Hopefully he comes back rested, and now the onus is on him because he has been given everything in terms of this ability to rest. So now when he comes back, you should not only expect Christian Pulisic to perform, but to perform even better.
So how much of this do you put the onus on the new head coach, Mauricio Pochettino? Because he has given some really glowing quotes that Pulisic could be our next Messi. And he's talked a lot about where U.S. soccer could be in 5-10 years. But do you think Pochettino should have made it more clear to Christian, no, we need you to be here for the World Cup or for the Gold Cup as part of our final preparations for the World Cup?
I think, and look, I have nothing to back this up other than a feel. I think that Mauricio Pochettino is biting his tongue right now. I think that he looks at this situation, and when his star, Christian Pulisic, said that he was not going to come and did not want to come because he needed to rest, I think he probably looked around and said, am I being punked here? This is ridiculous. But he's also practical in that he recognizes he needs Christian Pulisic. It's interesting. I think that this was handled poorly, actually, from both sides. It would have been interesting if Mauricio Pochettino, and again, I think you guys mentioned it, this is his first international gig. All right, it's a very different thing than a club gig. It would have been interesting if Pochettino had said, you know what I'm going to do? While I don't understand this, I'm going to protect you and endear you. And what I'm going to do is say, Christian, I'm not going to call you in. I'm going to demand that you go rest. Then he puts it on himself. That's what oftentimes coaches do. Didn't decide to do that, and as a matter of fact, they put it all on Christian. They put out a release and said this was his decision. So it's an interesting examination into how coaches function and that dynamic and that power balance, if you will, that occurs in all sports. I'm sure you guys talk about this all the time.
So what you should have done when I missed the show to play poker. You should have been like, I told Nick he wasn't allowed. You're the leader of the show. Instead, I got all the heat.
Well,
that's really what should have happened.
Lessons learned.
Let's look at it strategically, though, because we talked to Pochettino's kind of on a hot seat already, it feels like.
Yeah.
And not having not only Pulisic, but the other top players there, right now, already getting ready for the World Cup. Like, how big of a negative is that going to be going into the World Cup for him?
Well, this is the last time that we're going to see this team in a competitive environment before the World Cup. So they have, 8 to 10 games between now and when that whistle blows next summer in the World Cup. They will be all friendly games. I think it will be good competition, but again, they're friendly games. So other teams will be trying out different things. There's nothing that replaces actual competition. So I think this is the situation where this was that last time. This will pass. And I'm not sure it will blow over. I think people will still reference back to when Christian Pulisic took the summer off. To your point, there are plenty of other players that are also going to come back into the fold. I do think while this year is going to go fast, there can be changes in personnel, and there has to be changes, I think, in mentality going forward, because the fact, and we talked about this before, the fact that there are people questioning whether these players care, I mean, that is a punch to the gut. Whether you're a player now or whether you're an old guy like myself, because that was never in question. Maybe we didn't win. Maybe we didn't have the technical abilities or the tactical abilities or the resources. But to question whether you care about playing for the national team, that's a problem. And back to Christian Pulisic, so it's back full circle. It's absolutely fair, I think, to question him or anybody else, given the results, and not just the results, but the way in which those results have come about.
Quickly, just talking about the Gold Cup this weekend, what do you want to see from the team? I know it's not everybody's there, but what do you want to see that would make you feel good about this team?
I want to see a response. I want to see people that are pissed. And don't think for a second that they're not watching and that they don't hear absolutely everything that we say out there. They may or may not take it to heart, but I hope that they hear that people want and expect better. And again, I'll go back to this generation, because I know sometimes, I don't want a grumpy old man at here, but
That's right. We're used, Bruce on the show, we're used to it. So.
Well, I'm actually incredibly proud of how far we've come. I'm incredibly proud that this group of players doesn't have to go through a lot of the crap that we did. But with that comes higher expectations here. This group and this generation has been given absolutely everything. Again, that's a good thing. I'm happy about that. But now they have to live up to it, all right? Whether it's accommodation, whether it is medical, whether it is resources, whether it is pathways to going and playing in Europe, whether it's charter flights, all of these different things. Well, with that, there is a cost, and they have yet to pay it back.
What do you actually want to see, on the field, on the pitch, that will make you say, oh, we've turned it up intensity? Is it hard tackles? Is it just like a general, what do you see where it's like, oh, the energy is up that maybe I wouldn't see or the average soccer fan wouldn't see?
Well, their tackles are good, right? People,
it feels tangible,
we were just watching some hockey highlights here, and if you grew up watching hockey, the act of the fight, right, in hockey, all right, in and of itself, it's just a fight, and so okay, we like to watch fights, but the emotion and the energy and the impact and the effect of a fight in hockey game, or, we could just take it to a hard hit. That type of stuff matters, okay? On a consistent basis, being able to see that, because what does it signify to people that are, involved in the game or people that are just coming to the game? You can see it. I talked to you about it the other day about, the Supreme Court law for obscenity when they're trying to define this. I can't tell you, but I know it when I see it. You know it when you see it in every type of sport. A lot of the times it has to do with tackle, it has to work with tracking back, it has to do with selling yourself, and whether it's blocking shots, a lot of times, another reference from a hockey perspective, all of those different things are important. And you know it, and it's contagious. People want to do it. Now, that can't be the only thing, but it has to be part of the characteristic of a team.
All right, I have kind of an overarching question. It might be a tough one, but you're, I think, the right person to ask. So 94 is an unbelievable moment of time in U.S. soccer. It's also obviously the last time we hosted the World Cup. It's also how America got to know you, and it's how a lot of people were like, oh, this might be a new sport that I add to my viewing
Great
calendar.
uniforms.
So, right, no, true.
Long live the denim.
And listen, the World Cup can be a cruel judgment because it's ultimate. It's every 4 years and it's tiny sample. 98 doesn't go great, but then 02 is special as well. Maybe it's not as memorable because it was overseas and whatever, but we beat Portugal. We draw with the host nation. We beat Mexico. We advance. Since then, at the World Cup, the United States has won 3 matches. 2 against, I would say, wildly overmatched teams, Iran and Algeria, and a kind of classic against Ghana.
Okay.
And that's it. At the same time, we've got almost a dozen guys playing on top international clubs. We have, expensive managers. Like, U.S. soccer objectively has gotten better. The results peaked in 02 and haven't come anywhere close to it. So how do you, is that just the cruelty of small samples? Is it less random than that? Like, what do you attribute that to?
I think that it is relative to the unique aspect of the United States. Okay, we oftentimes talk about our diversity, and we talk about it in the fact that it is one of the advantages that we have, and one of the great things about our country. But with that diversity comes diversity of thought. If I go and ask 100 soccer people out there, what's beautiful soccer? I'm gonna get 100 different answers, and it may be based on ethnicity, where you grew up, even geography, all of these different things. So I've argued that the homogenous nature of some other countries and cultures, just in population, in terms of the size, are much more manageable, and there is a collective understanding, and more importantly, an agreement in this is how we're going to play. But getting 11 men to represent this great country of 350 million people, and all be on the same page, that is very, very difficult. I've argued before that maybe our best route to actually being better from a men's perspective in soccer is actually being more exclusive, not being as inclusive, in that if you went to, I don't know, the New York metropolitan area or Southern California, and you just took players,
built a team from
that
one
all
area,
grew up in the same area, had all of these shared experiences, maybe that would be better in terms of an understanding. This melting pot fallacy that I'll be the first to admit I bought into, and I'm not saying it can't happen. It just takes a lot longer with a whole lot more work, and especially when it comes to a national team, you do not have time to be able to do that.
Interesting.
Oh, you want me? I'll follow up because I'm very
very
interested in it.
Really?
But,
I am sweating so badly right now. I hope people can see. It is dripping down between my legs here. I mean, they took the redhead, and the only place, by the way, on this set that has sun is right here. They put me in it. The only thing that is, making this worthwhile is being with you here. And by the way, have you seen the people walking around here? I mean, there's no like, I'm not body shaming anybody. There's no shame at all, but it is incredible what is going on down here. All right, some of the bold and audacious decisions when it comes to their.
One question. So when you're talking about like basically a style,
That
of
was
play
Wilds
type question,
earlier. That's what people.
Spain plays a certain way. And it feels like they've been playing that way for decades. Like you see, that's Spanish style football.
That's it. Yep.
That's Brazilian football, more creative. What is Pochettino's stamp on this team? Is it going to look different from your team? Is that the managers? I guess the question is the manager dictating the style, or the players dictating the style, and the manager's trying to make it work?
I mean, that's the evergreen question for any national team, because you come in. Best laid plans. This is how I want to play. And then you very, very quickly realize that I don't have the players to do that. Again, Pochettino, never having coached internationally, coming in, getting the lay of the land very, very quickly, understanding what he has and what he doesn't have. So his best laid plans might have said, this is how we're going to play. And then he realized, oh my God, I can't do that. That's okay. Because if you become pragmatic, there are ways to win. And the U.S. over years, if there is a style, it is very pragmatic. Oftentimes, not necessarily having the ball, but being really good in transition, being really good at counterattacking, being really good at set pieces. And you can win. And you can win big games like that. But you have to establish that, you know what? I'm not going to be a romantic. I am going to do this. I am going to be pragmatic. It might not be pretty, but I'll tell you what. I've been out there, and I know enough people, whether they are, again, totally into soccer or not, Americans don't give a crap how this team wins. They just want to see it win. And if and when that happens, it could be the quote-unquote ugliest, because it's all in the eyes of the beholder. It could be the ugliest soccer you have ever seen. We could back into a win, and we could just be defensive the entire time, and they will be celebrated for it
100%.
because it hasn't been done, obviously, in the past.
That would be good. The Kansas City, especially.
Okay.
Well, it feels like what he's talking about.
Okay.
Is that not what he's talking about? Winning by any means necessary.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.